Jesse was being raised by two moms, myself and my partner, Mira. You know, as Jesse started coming out of babyhood, we started realizing that he was going to need some male influence in his life.
I have a grown son now. He's married and lives in California, and that's one of the reasons I got involved in the Big Pal program was that I missed him.
Being Jewish, Mira had heard about Jewish Family Services program, Big Pal, Little Pal. We felt comfortable because of that connection.
Jesse was 6 years old when we first met.
We just sat around these couches and just talked about each other and about things for a little bit.
We would do, a lot of the traditional things you would think of as that, the science center, or we went to a museum. You really had to sort of plan a special event every time you saw him. And it could eventually evolve into, we'd still do stuff, but you could sort of hang out together too.
It's slowly become more just go over there and talk.
He's been part of our family. He comes over for Passover. We watch Seahawks games together and Mariners games.
I'm currently the sports editor at the school paper. The reason that I got into sports was all because of Paul. He was a sports journalist for 30 years, and now looking back, I can't really imagine life without sports.
My father died when I was 7 years old. And I guess in part, that's kind of the perspective I'm looking at, What are the kind of things that I would want it for my own father? The humor, the hanging out, the advice, the warmth, the feeling that you're behind somebody.
We've been going through some turmoil in our family life. Having Paul there as a rock for him to hang on to has been really important.
If something's going on in my personal life, sort of rough waters or whatever it may be, I can always go to him.
I still remember a conversation we had. Jesse said to me, as kids do out of the blue, when we first met, he says, I didn't think I was going to like you very much. And I thought, wow, that's quite something to feel comfortable enough to say that. Just lots of moments over the years where you think, I'm glad I'm doing this.
I can't imagine life without him.
Well, Jesse's about to turn 17 next month, and I've known him since he was 6, so that's 11 years now.
I'm grateful to JFS that they were able to help create this relationship between me and Paul.
Just because he's approaching adulthood and moves on in his life, I don't think we'll ever stop being friends.
My parents were community activists. They were civil rights activists. They taught me to believe in the community and to work in the community. I moved to Seattle in 1999 and wanted to get involved in community projects. I've been very active in my church as camp director. Jewish Family Service and Madrona Presbyterian Church have created a wonderful partnership. An anonymous donor through JFS has been providing scholarships for our camp over the past few years. Carol Mullen and I would plan how we would use the money. We would not have been able to have the camp had it not been for that funding. I have one living relative, my sister, who lives in Texas. Her husband was gravely ill, so I moved down to be there to assist her with his care. And unfortunately, Texas wasn't so good to me because I became ill and had a stroke down there. It totally turned my life around. My left side was paralyzed, so I had to have months of speech therapy as well as physical therapy. I lost the job that I had. I needed some help. And who did I think of? I thought of Carol at Jewish Family Service and wrote her a letter about what had happened to me. And I said if I can pack 2 suitcases and ship 2 boxes, sell everything else, I can relocate to Seattle. And that's exactly what happened. In partnering with JFS in the past to now going into the food bank to get food for myself, never saw that coming. And I'm just thankful that those facilities exist and I'm able to make full use of them. To get into an apartment, you have to pay the first and last month's rent. Not having a job and very little money coming in, JFS came through for me and I was very much grateful. That was a real blessing for me. The rehabilitation is coming along pretty well. My whole goal is to become independent again. It goes against my grain to be dependent on anyone. My parents raised me like that. They were very hard workers. We all have good things and bad things happening to us. It's not so much that they happen, it's how we deal with them. And it's always good to be surrounded with good people who help us get through those. Angels is what I call them, because they helped me at a point where I was really, really down.
My name is Talia McCurdy, and in my 20s, I had a disease called endometriosis that had perforated my intestines. By the time I was 30, I'd had my last surgery and thought I had it all together. I'd met the man I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. We were saving for a house. We were about to start a family. We had steady income, and the 5-year plan turned into a 5-year plummet. There was a drawn-out cancer false alarm instead of the baby. My husband, Elric, had his career seemingly set as an IT specialist until the economic downturn hit and he was laid off. And he was sitting in his car at a red light when he was rear-ended. And his body didn't heal. You don't think to ask for help at first because there's the shock of it. And slowly we have learned the help that is out there. One of the amazing, incredible things about JFS is the flexibility. I don't know if there's a JFS program we haven't used. The food services, the couples counseling, the emotional support, the support to human dignity is such an essential part of effective services, helping someone help themselves. On February 29th last year, we learned I was pregnant. And we spent every day saying, okay, this day is a miracle. I had the amazing experience in this building of finishing up my Bringing Home Baby workshop. And then there came the actual birth. I don't think 2 weeks went by before someone was knocking on our door with a basket from JFS. The services have been more than life-saving. Our last meeting with Lauren included everything from rent help to food to exchanging baby wisdom. The most important thing JFS does is it prevents you from giving up hope in yourself to change, to grow, to get better, because these services are all oriented towards hope.